The rich have so thoroughly bought out politicians at every level of American politics that they really don't need to hide any of what's going on in the way that they've rigged the economic system. And I want to talk today about one of the most obvious ways that things are set up to benefit the rich and screw over regular people making far less money. And it's state and local tax rates broken down by how much income you have. And analysis has found that in 41 states, the richest 1% pay the lowest tax rate, lower than the 99% who make far less money in a year. So we want to show you a breakdown here. If we could bring up this first chart, you're gonna see that the people, and it's almost constant, that the less money you make, the higher percentage you pay in state and local taxes. So at the lowest 20%, you're paying 11.3%. For those who make, like, I can't even imagine how many times more than them in money. We're talking about an average of over $700,000 a year. They're paying significantly lower rates, 7.2% in state and local taxes. Now, look, we know that this is just one part of the way that the system has been manipulated. Even for, like federal taxes, there's all sorts of different loopholes, and they've got their high-priced, tax attorneys and all that can get them out of paying what they're due. And we've talked about that many times on the show. But something as simple as this, I feel like when you put this in chart form, how does any politician see this and not have to admit, yeah, it's kind of a bad thing that they're allowed to just buy all of us and then we write the laws to benefit them? Certainly not to benefit the lowest 20%. You're paying this higher state and local tax rate. You don't have much money to begin with. How much money do you have to buy politicians at that point? So we have more on this, Sharon, but not a surprise. It fits in with other stuff that we've known, but it's very difficult at this point, it seems like, to find a way that the system has not been optimized for the absolute wealthiest.
And there seems to be, they're devious to the core, but there seems to be this thing where they don't have any self-control to stop. They will create trillionaires, and that's okay too. And I think you said the rest of us would be homeless in a bag somewhere. Maybe we all have to migrate south during a certain time of year. I don't know. But there's not any end in sight to what they will do to hoard everything for themselves. And what you don't realize when you do that, I think history has shown us, there will be an uprising and it will be consequential. And when it happens, when people wake up and stop doing the culture wars that, have been like a chip's been planted in them, I don't know when that'll be, but it's going to happen. And it's going to be really bad, where you could have run away with stealing so many riches. You're now going to have to reckon with something, some kind of way. We'll all have to.
Yeah, and obviously, when I talk about that, I'm talking about a political revolution, and we came close, theoretically in 2016 and in 2020. Now, I am assuming that those who are entering the voting pool every year, or even more, like, we know how desperate Gen Z and is economically, and how desperate Gen Alpha is going to be. And when you point out that they could have gotten away with stealing so much, I will remind everyone that for a lot of these people, the extra stuff they're stealing, beyond just we could sustain this without an uprising forever, all that extra money it's made up money. It doesn't have any impact on their lives. There's nothing that they can't buy already. The only stuff you can come up with that extra money could help with is genetically, like cloning a unicorn or something. They already have everything, but they have dragon sickness. They want to go to sleep on the biggest possible pile of gold. That's all it is. And they're willing to see you and your families out on the streets so they can have an extra layer of coins at the top of it that they will never spend.
And the dragon illness with no cure thus far, I'm gonna put it this way, it may actually end up being a good thing. Because what's going to happen is that's what it's going to take to get someone like a Nina Turner, elected to the White House, to get more people like that in Congress and representing real people and saying, I can do well. I don't have to take all the pie. I can just take a little sliver of the pie and I'm good. I'm plenty full. I think that's what's the universe has a great balancing act. Not everybody believes God, this or that, but whatever you believe, I'm telling you, the universe has a great balancing act. And what's gonna come of this is you're not gonna be able to impose your will. The people are gonna rise up and they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna find someone and something real.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the difficult thing is that when it comes to money, they can't just take that small slice of pie. And for me, when it comes to pie, I can't just take that small slice of pie. It's the arrogance that will be our downfall.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.